I'm also just in general proud of the levels that I've personally gotten to set dress, because I that I put a lot of love and effort into them, and being able to play through them and experience the world that I made is very rewarding. The first iteration of the King's Bird, we were going more for more realistic type assets. We had like realistic trees, realistic rocks, and realistic stalactites. But we quickly found that because it's a precision platformer, and we're using the vectors to define the world, we would make vectors in such a way that the world was curved, which made it very difficult for a precision platformer, because you need to be able to know what the angle is that you're interacting with at any given moment, and where that angle ends and begins. So we realized that trying to go for something more realistic wasn't going to look the best and wasn't going to read the best for gameplay. So then we were trying to do something that was more of an angular style, and just through a bit of research, we settled on kind of Mesoamerican inspired art, because a lot of it is stone carving. It's very angular, and yeah, you have like those rounded curves that are juicy. So yeah, and just that kind of angular, squarish overall look to the art style just lent itself really well to what we needed for the gameplay.
I don't think like going ultra realistic like some games are is a bad thing. Like I think that still has its own sort of set of merit, and it's interesting to see how far we can push that, but it's always like refreshing to see a style out there that's kind of like Hat in Time, where they're just going for something simplistic, and I think it's fun to see it make somewhat of a comeback in the recent years.
The reason why we designed the games as such is because at the time we had no artists on the team. Because of that limitation in the beginning, we had this strict rule about using silhouettes and using non-textured characters. Therefore, it has been really difficult for us to even display Quill as a character to anyone, besides ourselves, because she doesn't have any facial expressions or any kind of features on her. So we had to design a very, I guess, precise series of animations that are kind of able to express Quill as a character without having to show the audience what she really looks like.
Yeah, well, when animating Quill, we definitely early on got the direction from my supervisor that she's not really grounded whenever she's moving around. Like when she's dashing, we have her almost like swim and push off through the air. So the reference, instead of having just like a sprinter, we've got like Olympic divers and skydivers, even when she's not actually, flying through the air.
There's so much that we wanted to put in the game, so many ideas that we had that just haven't worked out. We wanted to have like these spirit birds that like would animate, and you would be able to see as you approach them, like their beautiful silhouetted spirity form that comes out of the totems. But we realized that we had some huge constraints on our animation time and also our cutscene tools, so we had to severely cut back on those types of visuals. Now it's just these glowing totems that kind of float and rotate a little bit. They're not as cinematic as we had originally hoped or intended, but we always start out with a grand vision, like here's all of the things that we could possibly have, and as much as we try to lock down the scope to something that's feasible. There's always these things that we're trying to get in or hoping that are going to get in that just eventually have to be cut.